Welcome, welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome to 40 days of restorative yoga. This is day 39, and thank you for being here throughout this journey. Today, just so you know, so you can get ready for the setup, if you can make space at a wall, that would be the ideal scenario. Otherwise, I believe it was day 18 where we did the straddle pose from a seated posture, and I will review that in case that's what you need to do today if you don't have wall space. All right, so welcome. This morning I posted in my community tab as well as on my Instagram the card from the Weaver's Oracle, the ancestor of the Earth Crone card, and I've been reading those 2 pages over and over and really trying to bring into my heart what that reading meant for that day and why that card was chosen for us on this journey. And I really believe that it taps into the layers that are being peeled away. And I believe we were in a half frog position that day. And when we are in a pose where it feels you are vulnerable and raw and open, and you don't want to stay 1 minute or 1 second longer, 1 breath longer, that's when we really need to stay and to focus on the breath and give the body permission to soften and to let go. And so I really felt that energy of the Earth Crone, who is a guardian of death, is talking to the death of the old patterns, the death of the clinging, the death of being okay with the status quo and not wanting these layers to peel away and not wanting to be in discomfort. So it was not a long thing that I wrote, and I quoted some of Carolyn Hillier's words as well too. So if you have time, go to my community tab or to my Instagram and have a look at that card, because it was so beautiful and deep, and if it connects with you in one little way, I'm sure it's going to be something worthy of journaling and following through and continuing to explore as you explore your yoga practice. So saying that, let's go on to today's message, and today's message comes from the plants. From the Hedgewitch Botanical. And Hedgewitch refers to those midwives, medicine women, witches who were forced to live on the extremities of the village, close to the wilderness, because they were not accepted in the towns. And so hence hedge, right? Hedge witch. And so these were the wise women, wise men, usually the wise women who people would go to for their potions and for their medicine. And I love that Cielo embraced that name in the title of these cards. And this is such a beautiful offering. In the Hedge Witch's field guide, there's recipes, and there's actually not prescriptions like we would call them an RX prescription, but for various things. And it's such a great resource. Very, very different than the other plant oracles I've shared with you. So what is the medicine that we would most benefit from on this particular day, in this moment? St. John's Wort. The keyword is stabilize. If you're not familiar with it, it has yellow flowers usually. So there's definitely a sense of calming, definitely a sense of calming. And so I want to invite that energy in as well today to the practice. And many people I know take it regularly. It's a very common herb to work with. I just need to figure out how this guidebook is organized. I thought. It's one of my frustrations in guidebooks. Sometimes it's organized by the plant, sometimes it's organized by the keyword. So what I'm going to do is once you get into the pose, I'll find a few of Cielo's words and I'll share them with you. I just want to review what we did with the straddle pose before. So when you are seated in straddle pose, it's a really good idea, as with all forward folds, to elevate the pelvis off the floor. So a small pillow, small foam block like I have here. Deep stretch for the adductors. If the tendons behind the knees are sore, then put something under those as well too. You can put small rolled towels. I'm showing you this. I know we've already done this, but this is the option for today if you don't have wall space. Depending on the amount of flexibility in moving forward. So in most forward folds, I suggest that you work with length first. So I'm just closing my eyes, feeling my back body, and growing up and out of the spine, creating space in the low back before I round forward. The prop for this one can either go in this direction, so you rest your forehead onto the bolster, hands resting on the floor. And of course, you could elevate your hands and put your hands on two blocks as well too. And then if you have more space, you can work with the blocks in this direction and come down this way. Okay? So that's the option if you don't have the wall. Also, in the day that we did legs up the wall, where I bound the legs, you can refer to that day as well too, because that is a really nice practice to do along with this one that we're doing. So when you come to the wall and you are putting your legs up the wall, make sure you get your hips nice and close to the wall before you come down onto your mat. Excuse me. And then you can use the backs of your arms to come closer. And ideally, your seat is touching the wall. And then elevate just a little bit. So if you want to come up onto a large foam block, you can do that, or just a small block to raise the hips up. And again, this is helping with the shift of the pelvis forward so that pelvis isn't shifting back. And today we're going to come into the same straddle pose on the wall. And I am a little bit close to my screen here, but that's okay. Now, a strap is entirely optional. And if you have one that is really, really long, just don't want to knock the props over, so we'll go to there. And you have one of the longer ones, or you can connect two together so that, and then hold them in one hand, then you won't be holding the legs as much. Some people find it a little challenging because what happens when the legs start to release, I am going to scoot over just a little bit so I have more space. You can still see me. When the legs start to release and the groin starts to open a little more, we've been really working on this the last few days through the different frog postures. So the heels will slowly start to move down the wall. And that can cause constriction here, right? Because a lot of us are afraid to let go here. So a strap, or depending on how far down your legs are down the wall, a chair even. So if you had somebody in your household who could put a chair or a stool there so that the feet were in a stable position and they weren't moving, that might feel really nice in your setup. All right, so I'm just going to guide you into breath with this posture. And I need to move a little bit further over. So try to get as close to the wall as possible with your seat, and then go ahead and come into straddle posture. And you can bend your knees a little bit. There's no need to have locked knees. Bring the backs of the arms to the mat. Walk the shoulder blades together. And come to your breath. This is a deep adductor and hamstring stretch. And if your legs have gone farther than you're ready for, then you simply bring them up. And you stay put a little higher up. Shoulder blades together, chest is open. And I want to invite you back into the breath practice we did yesterday and several of the other videos as well too. Coming into prana shuddhi, being aware of the breath in both nostrils and drawing the air up towards the eyebrow center and back down again. So inhaling nostrils to eyebrow center, exhaling eyebrow center out the nostrils. So as you may recall, 5 rounds, both nostrils. And then close the right nostril either with the right thumb or use your mind and just to draw the breath in and out, up and down the left side only 5 times. And then close the left nostril with the ring finger and go up and down the right side 5 times only, or again, without the hand gesture, you can just do it with the mind and the breath. And then 5 times both nostrils. And if this stretch is too intense on the wall, you can either come to an upright position or just bring the legs in, just reduce the size of your V, right? And then coming to alternating breath. can use the thumb to close the right side. Inhale up the left. Close the left, open the right, exhale out the right. And again, you can do this without the gesture. Inhale up the right. Close the right, open the left. Exhale left. That's one. So with or without the hand, alternating the breath up and down, alternate sides. 4 more times. When the 5th exhale leaves the left nostril, return to both sides. And when you're done, just slide the legs up together, up the wall. Feet are touching. And then just return to your natural breath. And if you've not brought your legs together yet, bring your legs together just with the legs together up the wall. And come into the medicine of the legs up the wall posture. And with the legs in this position, you may also choose to raise the hips. I don't have a block right handy, a little bit higher. Sometimes with the legs like this, I like to use the larger block to amplify the effect of the reversal of the blood flow and everything. So just stay like this and I will find you the reading on the St. John's Wort. And if you wish to do another round of the alternate nostril breathing, go ahead and you can start that. St. John's Wort is a herbaceous perennial plant. In scientific name, performatum, comes from the translucent dots on the underside of the leaves that give the plant a perforated appearance. Look for this trademark characteristic when identifying the use of the herb. The name St. John's Wort is derived from the plant's traditional day of flowering and harvesting, St. John's Day, June 24th. I'm just skipping through some of these. Extracts from this plant have long been used to treat depression, stabilize moods, and ease anxiety. Even in modern Western medicine, St. John's Wort is sometimes prescribed for mild to moderate depression, especially in children and adolescents, or in situations where traditional pharmacopoeia is contraindicated. Treat this plant with caution. It has been shown to cause multiple drug interactions and is discouraged for those with bipolar disorder. It is also poisonous for grazing livestock. The oracle property Stabilize speaks to this plant's long history of use as a mood stabilizer and antidepressant. With his perfect balance and keen judgment, the King of Swords is a wonderful companion to this herb, as he embodies all the traits St. John's wort is meant to grant: a clear mind, focused thoughts, and subdued emotions. So I just wanted to also see. And she has more of an oracle message here. There are times in life when conflict and upset are unavoidable, and there are times when it is best not to rock the boat. Even during difficult times, a clear and calm approach to problem solving is always advisable, and there are stressors or chaotic elements in your life preventing you from being your best self. Try to focus with clear sight on anything that is bringing more stress than benefit. And so this posture with the legs up the wall is such a beautiful way to come into that de-stress situation. So I don't know if you noticed, if you were in this posture with the legs wide for an extended period of time, if the anxiety starts to rise because the legs are sliding further and further down the wall, not only with gravity, but as these adductors begin to release, right? And the anxiety arises. As soon as you bring the legs together, that will begin to dissipate. So this particular shape is a perfect kind of companion to the oracle message today as far as Stabilize goes. So to come out of the posture, bend your knees. And the seat is quite close to the wall. So just roll to a side. If you have a block, just move the block out of the way. And you can just rest on your side for a few moments. And then if you want to crawl back and come into Shavasana, go ahead and come into Shavasana. And just allow the effects of the practice to begin to integrate in your body. And Stabilize is another great word for integration. So when we come out of each posture, we want the muscles, the joints, the energy just to settle down. And we're not returning to where we were before we went into the posture. We are coming into like an N+1. So wherever you are, just take a few more calming breaths. And know that you can come back here at any time. So I wanted to talk a little bit about tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to do a second yoga nidra. And what I suggest tomorrow is that you go for a vigorous walk before the practice. And I will guide you into a little bit of tension and relaxation before the yoga nidra. But if you have a walk before the practice, then it will be easier for you to just settle right on down into the relaxing guided meditation. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Stay well, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 40. Bye-bye.